Hello, we are back to our Eat More Plants program today, and we are going to be doing lesson number 11. And of course, as usual, we're going to try to answer a question. And today's question is, how can I change my eating habits to help the planet? And I'm asking this question because once I understood climate change and I understood the great impact how we eat has on the planet, I wanted to change how I ate, and I had every great intention to change to eating a lot more plants. Unfortunately, I did okay for a few days, and then I slipped back into the old easy habits because I was in a hurry, or I was tired, or I had a lot of reasons. So it really bothered me because I really do want to help the planet, and it doesn't seem like it's that hard of a thing to do. So I looked into the brain science of habits. And what I found out is basically habits are neural pathways in the brain, and unfortunately they're permanent. However, you can change a habit by hacking a habit loop, so by tweaking it. And that is what I want to show you how to do really quick, because I decided I wanted to change what I eat for lunch. I come home from work at 3 o'clock and I have such low energy. So I have no energy, I'm not thinking, and I have cheese and salami and crackers. So I wanted to change that habit loop. So I have my handy dandy dry erase board here. And we're going to look at what a habit loop is. All right, here we have my old habit. And habit loops have three parts. They have a cue, a routine, and a reward. And you can see here my cue was, it's 3 o'clock, I've come home from work, I'm starving. My routine was to have cheese and salami and crackers. And my reward was to get more energy and feel satisfied. So the way you change a habit loop is, you keep the cue and the reward the same, and you switch the routine. So what I decided to do was, my new habit was, I still came home, the cue was the same, I had low energy when I come home from work. I made a plan, and I decided to have plant-based smoothie for my snack, which had cashew yogurt in it, and berries, and all kinds of good stuff, but it's non-dairy. And my reward was the same, I would get more energy. So let's review each parts of these, because you are going to look at a breakfast or lunch that you eat that's non-plant-based and think of a new habit loop for that. So step one is identify a cue. And a cue can be time, location, people, action, or feeling. And for me, it was time and location, 3 o'clock, and I get home. Step two is identify the reward, and that's the other thing that's not going to change. And for me, the reward is what need is being satisfied, and my need is low energy. So my reward is I get energy. So step three is you have to make a plan. You have to make a plan on how you're going to change your routine, what your new routine is going to be before you get that cue. So I had to answer, I made a new plan. So I answered these questions. When, that's the cue, when at 3 o'clock I will make a non-dairy smoothie because it provides me with energy. And that's basically it. It's pretty simple. So I made a cheat sheet for you. So that's what I'm going to do. Today we are going to draw our new habit, our hacked habit loop. And this is a cheat sheet. So these are all the things you want to fill out and think about before you start, so you know what to draw. Old habit, your cue, what your old routine is, what the reward is, and then your plan. And the plan is when, what's the cue, I will, what's your new routine, and your reward. And then you're going to write your new habit down here, the cue for your new habit, the routine for your new habit, and the reward for your new habit. So that is your cheat sheet. So you need to fill this out and think about this before you start. So we're going to draw habit loops. But of course, I wanted to make them really fun. So instead of drawing me doing something, showing me and the cue that I get, like at 3 o'clock, instead of showing me drinking a plant-based smoothie, and instead of showing me feeling satisfied and having energy, I decided our habit loops are going to show hedgehogs. So cool. So they are habit loop hedgehogs. And I'm going to show you how to draw hedgehogs. So before we start, I will talk about our supplies. You need a piece of drawing paper. If you don't have drawing paper, that's okay, but it's great if you have drawing paper. That is 8.5 by 5.5, so this size drawing paper. You're going to need a black felt tip pen. You're going to need a regular pencil because we're going to do a rough draft first, and color pencils, and that's it. Pretty basic in our supplies today. And you're going to need your information about what your hacked habit loop is. So you're going to need to jot down answers to the questions on the cheat sheet that I showed. Okay, so now I'm going to show you my habit loop. This is a habit loop that I did that I wanted to change. This is different than the one on the board. I wanted to change my breakfast. So I often have boiled eggs for breakfast because they're fast. And I wanted to change that habit because I didn't want to have eggs. So I decided on having oats with almonds, which is actually, I got the packaged oats, so all you have to do is add hot water. So I have to do a little bit of cooking. And this is my new habit loop. So that's me. My cue in the morning for breakfast is when I get out of the shower, because I take a shower every morning. Then this is me, the Mary Hedgehog, cooking. And this is me eating my plant-based oatmeal with almonds. And we're going to do some corner designs, and we're going to have habit loop written in there. And we're going to do arrows. So this is much more fun. And here's a second one of a habit loop where someone decided to make a healthy plant-based lunch. And the cue for this hedgehog is they think about lunch right when they wake up. And then they go into the kitchen and they're gonna make a sack lunch that has healthy plants in it. And this hedgehog is having hummus and carrots for his plant-based lunch. And this is his hacked habit loop. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, as if drawing hedgehogs isn't enough, I wanted us to be able to customize our hedgehogs. So we're going to think about what their fur looks like. We're going to think about action, what they have them doing things. We're going to think about accessories, and we're going to think about hedgehog poses. So of course I did a little research on Pinterest because it's always good to get inspiration. Art doesn't come from nowhere. You look, you see, and then that's where you get ideas. So let's talk about fur customization. You saw on my hedgehog, my hacked habit loop that I'm doing here, I don't know if you saw, but I'm going to go really close up. I did kind of sprinkles, you know, like sprinkles on donuts. His fur is kind of sprinkle inspired. So that was my hedgehog inspiration. But I have some different ideas that I got from Pinterest. You can see here. These hedgehogs were inspired by weather. These hedgehogs were inspired by plants. These hedgehogs were inspired by different things like weather. This one has a kind of a frame around it. And these hedgehogs were inspired by months. So those are a lot of different hedgehog fur inspirations from Pinterest. And I did a few of my own. Also, I love the ocean, so I did a wave ocean inspired hedgehog, a rainbow hedgehog, a plant hedgehog, a windy day hedgehog. There's my sprinkles hedgehog. You can just have a plain hedgehog with maybe like a pink cheek. And there's a bunch of different ideas for you. Okay, so that's fur inspiration. Next, you might want your hedgehog doing something like cooking or, I don't know, I had one getting in the shower. So here are, found from Pinterest, hedgehogs doing things. And you definitely see the inspiration for the shower and sleeping. There, he's got a pillow. Now we're moving into accessories. There's a hedgehog with a scarf on, sunglasses, a hat, a skirt. This one's got a nice necklace, a bow tie. So you can customize your hedgehog with accessories as well. And then last but not least, I have a hedgehog positions page. So each of your hedgehogs could have a different position for one of the, Habit Loop has 3 things in it. So you could have 3 different poses, or you could have them all have the same pose. And together we're going to draw a front view and a side view. But this is if you want to do more than a front view or a side view. So that's all my hedgehog inspiration. So when you start writing, go back in the video and pause on those and take a look and get some ideas. Okay, so I have my second dry erase board today. And here's my piece of paper, and I have it. You're going to take your piece of paper and you're going to orient it landscape, long ways, right? And you're going to have 3 parts to your habit loop, remember? So what you want to do is split your paper into thirds. So you have, of course, balance is important in composition in any art piece that we do, so you want it to be equally balanced. So what I did is I just take your pencil very lightly and put a dotted line or a very light line, 1/3 over, 1/3 and 1/3. So your paper is now split into 3 sections, right? And then if we take a look, our cue and reward are across from each other, and the routine is a little bit above that in the center. Okay? So what I'm going to do is, to make sure my hedgehogs don't get too small, I'm going to put for the center one, I want to leave space for a title up here maybe. So I'm going to put where the top of it is going to be and the bottom, about there. And then I'm going to take this guy and put where the top of he is going to be, and there. So I'm kind of sketching out the location for my hedgehogs, top and bottom. That way I have a plan in advance kind of that determines their size. Okay, so now I've got my cue, my reward, my cue, my routine, my reward. So I am going to draw my first hedgehog. All right, I'm gonna do a front view and then a side view. So a front view hedgehog starts out with 2 little ears, eyes, and a nose. All right, so what I'm gonna do is 2 little ears. And the eyes are just dots, and they're farther apart than you might think. Okay, there's my eyes. And then the nose is kind of close to the eyes in the center, and it's a little bit of an oval. So that's my start. Then I'm going to go down here and draw a little curve. Down a curve. And have little loops for his legs. So that is the beginning of a front-on view of a hedgehog. Now, what you're going to want, and you're doing this in pencil, by the way. In fact, you're going to be doing all of this in pencil first. The corner designs, the title, the labels, we're going to get to those. But that's all going to be in pencil first. And then the color of the whole thing is going to be black and white with some pops of color. And I'll discuss color a little more later. But know that you will be overwriting your ears and nose and eyes, arms and legs in black marker. And your corners and your title and your labels will be in black marker. Yeah, so we'll discuss a little bit more about where the color, and the color will be in color pencil, not marker, pencil, will come in a little bit later. So I'm starting on my fur. And you need to make about 3 layers of fur, more than you would think. And 1 layer kind of comes on the outside of the ears. And then you just kind of make a square shape. Hedgehogs are the hedgehogs we're drawing today are kind of square. So you see the kind of square ovalish shape. And then you add another layer of little lines. And he's starting to look very hedgehoggy. They're poofier than you would imagine. And there he is. And of course you can draw some arms, and the arms can go up, they can go down, they can hold things. I'm just gonna have his arms, and the arms are like little loops also. Okay, so there is my straightforward hedgehog. Straight on view hedgehog. And that is my cue. So next I'm gonna draw a side view hedgehog. So a side view hedgehog, you start out with kind of a triangle for his nose. So I'm gonna start out with kind of a swooped triangle with a curve to it, and you put a little dot for his nose. Then inside that triangle, you put his eye. Okay? Now, what you're gonna do is continue this down and give a little curve, and then curve out for his tummy. And you will have his tummy come back this way, and you will have a leg coming about like that. So there's one leg, and then his other leg will be like that. Now you go in with your little lines that create his fur. And, oh, what did I forget? I forgot an ear. So we have to put his little ear right there. It's really hard to make these wrong. Don't worry about it. You can erase, you can go over again, but it's just a few lines. And most of the fabulous part of the hedgehogs are these little dash lines. And you do more than you would think. Because that gives them personality, and they really are kind of puffy dudes. And you will do this more fabulously than I am right now, because I am going fast. So there's my side view hedgehog. And you will do a third. Now, your hedgehogs might be doing something like, I'm not doing that right now because I'm time crunch, because I don't want to take too much of your time. I want you to get started on your art. You can see here, I added some accessories like a towel, I put a shower, there's a spatula that kind of symbolizes cooking. So you can have them holding accessories, you can have them doing something, you can dress them up, and or you can give them some fabulous fur. But one thing that I haven't talked about yet, I'm gonna put this down, is our color design for this project. Sorry about that racket. We are going to make it mostly a black and white piece of art, but we're gonna have pops of color for each hedgehog, okay? So you can see here, and your pop of color for each hedgehog could be that you have color fur. Maybe you're doing an ocean-inspired hedgehog, so your hedgehog has blues and greens in its fur, and that's, notice, the only color on this hedgehog is his fur, okay? Maybe you're choosing to have plain fur, and you want the pop of color in the accessories. So you can see here, I made a blue blanket, a brown lunch, and an orange carrot. So we really want this visually to be black and white mostly, with one pop of color per hedgehog. And that'll make it kind of fun. All right, so what do we have left? Let's get back to our dry erase board. Next, I'm not gonna draw the third hedgehog just for time. But what we wanna do is, you notice we have labeled the different steps in the habit loop. You can see cue, routine, and reward. And we've put a title, habit loop. So I want to, in neat writing, put cue, routine, reward for each of my steps. But before I just start writing it, I want to think about what kind of font I might use, and tie in the font, the letter style, that I'm using in my title and in my routine. And you can see here, I used cursive on my title, and then just small, simple lettering for my labels. So I'm going to do that again. I might just do cursive, cue, routine, and then reward. And then my title for this one, I put it in the corners. But for this one, I think I'm going to do it up here. I'm going to do a really big H, Erasing. Oh, now erase. Feel free to erase these. I'm going to do habit, big L, loop. All right. All right, so the next I've got my labels in a fun font. And in a minute, I will show you a font inspiration page, of course, from Pinterest, because I can't help myself. And we're going to decorate the corners, and we're going to draw some arrows. And so again, like, you kind of want your labels to coordinate in theme with the font on your title. You kind of want to have your arrows coordinate with the designs that you're putting in the corners. So for example, I just used double lines on my corners here, and then I made my arrows very simple with lines on the end. You can see here, I made kind of plant looking corners, and then I put kind of plant looking leaves or petals on my arrows. Okay, so that is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do very simple loopy corners today because I'm in a hurry. Well, not a hurry, but I want you to get to your artwork. So, loopy corners. And then my arrows, I'm going to put a loop in too. This goes from cue to routine, routine to reward. And then from reward back. There we go. So let me show you some inspiration so you can come up with some fun details. Here are some ideas for corners. And there are some really fun ones. And here we're starting to get into ideas for arrows. And here are more arrow inspiration ideas. All right, so here is my inspiration sheet of fonts. And all these inspiration sheets, let's talk about those for a minute. They're not telling you, you do not need to use the ideas on those sheets. They're just to get your brain and creativity flowing. I cannot wait to see your fabulous hedgehogs and what their fur looks like and how you decide to dress them. I just give you these ideas not because I want you to use those, because that's how I get ideas. I look and see what's out in the world and incorporate that into my art. Like, you can just open the refrigerator and look at the writing on all the different packages and get inspiration that way. I have got to tell you, it is going to be so fun to see your amazing hedgehogs, and I look forward to seeing the plant-based breakfasts and lunches that you put on your habit hacks to give me ideas and inspiration for new things I can eat. All right, have a great time.